I am so sorry I'm not able to be with you, but I am honored to have this opportunity to speak with you and to thank you for all you do. UAW President Bob King and all the members of Region 4 are fighting not just for working families, but for our country. I greatly value your leadership and your friendship, and I'm proud to be your partner. Like you, I'm deeply committed to creating an economy and a democracy that works for everyone, not just the wealthiest among us. That is what the UAW is all about. It's unions, after all, that created the middle class in this country. It is because of unions that we have, for example, the weekend and a minimum wage. Unions make a real difference in people's lives. Union members earn, on average, $200 more a week, $10,400 more a year than other workers, than non-union workers. 85% of union members have job-provided health insurance, 84% have sick leave, and 77% have pensions. You can negotiate for safe working conditions. Unions ensure that working men and women have rights, and collective bargaining provides negotiating power to ensure that workers have fair wages and respect. The result of strong unions is felt throughout the economy, expanding the middle class and creating economic growth. It's no coincidence that the drop in union membership has resulted in the decline of the middle class. In the past, the UAW and other unions saw to it that workers' wages increased when productivity and national income rose. Today, profits are going straight to the richest. In 2012, the top 1% took 22.5% of national income, levels not seen since the height of the Gilded Age in 1913. In the 1950s, the typical CEO earned 20 times the average worker's salary. Today, it's 200 to 1. This is devastating for American working families, and it's devastating for the entire American economy. This dangerous trend is not an act of nature. It is the result of deliberate policies, attacks on organized labor, trade policies that undermine labor rights and cost American jobs, an unfair tax code, and barriers to voter participation. We do not have to accept this so-called new normal. We can reverse course and ensure that hard work is rewarded and that everyone has a chance to succeed. We know what's needed, and we know how to get it done. First, we need to create jobs that provide opportunity. I've introduced the Emergency Jobs to Restore the American Dream Act to create or maintain 2.2 million jobs by hiring Americans to meet American needs, like protecting our communities, teaching our children, providing health care, repairing crumbling infrastructure. That's just one of many proposals that are sitting in Congress right now, but the Republican majority has refused to bring them to the House floor for a vote. Second, we need to make sure that the jobs we create are good jobs, union jobs. We need to pass H.R. 1010, the Fair Minimum Wage Act, which would give 24.5 million American workers a raise. We have to extend emergency unemployment insurance for the long-term unemployed, providing critical assistance to 2.8 million working families, including 289,800 in Region 4 alone. It would pump $5 billion into the economy, nearly $425 million in Region 4 states, and add 200,000 jobs across the country. We need to implement immigration reform to end the exploitation of workers that harms all of us. And we must make sure that workers are able to join unions and enjoy bargaining rights without intimidation or unfair legislative barriers. Once again, it's the UAW that's leading the fight on these issues. And third, we must reject free trade agreements. I recently met with the Japanese Consul General in Chicago. I wanted to know why Japan is the most closed automotive market of any industrialized country, and why it recognizes unions in Japan, but not in most Japanese-owned plants in the United States. Instead of rewarding that behavior in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, We should negotiate fair trade agreements that require our trading partners to open up foreign markets, meet strong labor standards, and end currency manipulation. Finally, we need tax policies that raise the revenues we need by asking more from those who can afford to pay more, including highly profitable corporations, millionaires, and billionaires. We must end tax subsidies for companies that offshore jobs and profits. We must end tax policies that value inherited wealth more than hard work. The United States has never been richer. Per capita GDP, or average wealth per person, has never been greater. But as you know, wealth is far from evenly divided. The richest 1% is taking a larger share of that wealth than they have in the last century. It's time that we pass laws that make sure that working families benefit from increased productivity that is the result of their efforts, your efforts. These policies are widely popular. If we could get a vote, I'm convinced that they would pass. However, Speaker Boehner and the Republican majority are denying us the right to vote. We will continue to try and force action on the floor of the House of Representatives. As we are working aggressively to get votes in Congress, we are working just as hard to protect America's right to vote in elections. The Supreme Court has opened the door for Republican governors and state legislatures who are trying to restrict voting, requiring photo IDs, creating confusion by changing polling places, reducing voting times, and limiting same-day registration. We need to ensure that next November we energize and turn out every voter who cares about our issues. We know how important votes are on the House floor, in the ballot booth, and at the bargaining table, and in the workplace. For those of us who care about working families and labor rights, the assault on workers that took place in Tennessee early this year was a travesty. We can't let elected officials threaten companies and workers in order to influence union elections. The ability to join a union and bargain collectively is as essential as an American right as the right to vote. And we need to work to make sure those rights are protected. My brothers and sisters, we can restore the American vision and ensure that future generations are better off. The UAW has always been and continues to be a leader in fighting for working families and our democratic values. I am honored to be fighting alongside you. Thanks.